Privation Studies Child Psychology Genie aims to look at the progress or lack of progress of Genie after she was found at the age of 13 in order to find out more about development, particularly language development, to help Genie towards normal development or at least to improve her quality of life. Background: Genie was found at the age of 13. She had been strapped to a potty chair and mostly ignored in her room for all those years. Food was left for her. Her mother was afraid of her abusive father, who did not want Genie due to believing she had a mental disorder. By 14 months, Genie had not been paid much attention to, and her father did not like her, but when she was ill at the time, she was seen by a pediatrician who thought there might be some retardation. Genie's father seems to have used that as an excuse to shut her away. From then on, Genie was isolated completely and tied to the potty chair. Genie's mother began to go blind and found it harder to go to speak to her, as the father wanted her ignored. Genie spent the time until she was about 13 without being socialized or spoken to. Her father had thought she would not live after the age of about 12 and promised her mother she could get help after that, but he did not keep his promise. Genie's mother went to go get help anyway, and Genie was discovered. Genie's parents were charged with child abuse, but her father killed himself on the day of the trial. Description: data were gathered by working with Genie and observing her. There were also tests of language development to see what she understood and what she could do. Videotapes and recordings were made, and doctors were interviewed about Genie. She progressed and slowly began to be socialized with regard to eating and communicating, for example. She learned to understand words and to identify objects. She understood numbers and started asking for the names of things around her. However, she never learned to use language normally, at least up until the time the funding ran out and the study was stopped. She did not walk normally either. After the study finished, when Genie went to live in an institution, where it is thought she still remains, her identity being protected for ethical reasons. Analysis: Genie was used as an experiment because there was interest in the possibility of a critical period for language development, and Genie was found when she had passed that stage. On the face of it, she provided evidence for the existence of a critical period because she did not learn language normally, though she did learn some language and became able to communicate. However, she had some interactions with others, at least early in her life, and may have heard some language before the start of the study. Another issue is that she may have had learning difficulties from the start, as outlined by the doctor. At 5 months, she was said to be normal, but a pediatrician thought she might be retarded when seen at 14 months. Method: case study, evaluation, strengths. The case study is rich, detailed, and thorough, with data including recordings and documented evidence, so there is validity. There are both quantitative and qualitative data that can be checked from more than one source, again emphasizing validity. With regard to ethics, a strength is that her identity was protected at the time, giving privacy and confidentiality, though her picture is very well known and some claim that she can be identified. Weaknesses: Genie might not have developed normally in any case, and there are no before data as a baseline measure to see how privation affected her. Ethically, there were problems with the study. The psychologists and professionals fell out over the treatment of Genie because care for her and study of her were intermingled. Many feel that she should have been treated rather than studied.